Are you serious? Are you serious? Well, the South Sudan is on the brink of civil war as the Jub fighting intensifies. Now, you do know in biblical prophecy, when you look at Ezekiel 38, it talks about the 5 nations and other nations that will join them that invade and attack Israel. They are, of course, Persia, which is Iran. Also, we know Turkey, we know Russia, and we also know that it's Libya and Ethiopia. If you go back in biblical times, Ethiopia was very large. It was not just the current day Ethiopia we have today, but it included the Sudan and South Sudan. So with these civil war now starting to almost happen there, Libya is already controlled by ISIS, basically. We know where Turkey's position is with Israel. We know that there is tension. Iran hates Israel. Russia's trying to play both sides of the fence, but we all know at the end of the day what could end up happening. And then there is Sudan and Ethiopia. All of that. Sudan is part of Ethiopia. Well, heavy explosions were reported in the capital of South Sudan today as the world's youngest nation hovered on the brink of a return to an all-out civil war. The deadly spasm of violence started with a skirmish Thursday between 2 longtime rivals forces, since rapidly intensified, all amid mounting fears that the group's leaders have lost control of their forces. Thousands of civilians have fled their homes in the capital of Juba to seek shelter at the United Nations bases, there's a lot of United Nations base sites which have themselves also been caught in the crossfire. Heavy shooting is happening right outside our windows, said one of the aid workers at the UN base. He put on Twitter, house keeps shaking with tanks firing. Large explosions just now, added a journalist that's there at Juba. And seems the whole city is hearing big booms right now. How did we get here, folks? Well, South Sudan split from the Sudan back in 2011 after years of fighting. So they've only been a nation 5 years. The new nation's independence was championed by the United States under the Obama administration. In the success seen in the exercise was called a democracy. However, tensions quickly emerged between South Sudan's president and his deputy, and the country descended into chaos, imagine that, by 2013, as one side, the Kurd, accused Makar of attempting a coup. Both sides have since been accused of committing atrocities in the ensuing conflict, which has killed thousands. The United Nations and international organizations have warned of an impending humanitarian crisis there, with the threat of starvation looming as fighting has blocked the delivery of aid to many parts of the country. Is there a sign of hope? Well, the signing of a peace deal between the Kurd and the Makar last August raised hopes of an end to the bitter fighting. The deal called for a 2-year transitional government composed of individuals from both sides of the conflict prior to the elections. Makar's return to Juba in April was seen as a positive step towards peace. However, fighting has continued amid the haggling over the deal's details. Here we go. The devil's always in the details. International actors have warned the agreement was being exploited. Earlier this month, the International Crisis Group said that formerly warring parties are now flouting and increasingly preparing for widespread conflict as they fight. The implementation is stalled, and fighting is already proliferating around the country. It said in a report, unless something is done, it is a matter of only a little time before there is a return to civil war. South Sudan, total state of chaos, and you will see who will fill that void? Radical Islamists, just like they do every nation where there's chaos. Iraq, Syria. The Taliban is resurging in Afghanistan, Libya after the collapse of Muammar Gaddafi, after Saddam Hussein. We know what happened in Iraq. We're watching listen, the Fab Five that are involved in Ezekiel 38 are on the field. They're all on the field. Israel has to brace themselves. And tomorrow, listen to me, tomorrow, Jews are going to arise and ascend to the Temple Mount for a rally for the first time in history. Will the Muslims allow them to have their day, a day of prayer on the Temple Mount because of the murder of that 13-year-old girl? And the mother, with the Deborah effect, is rising up to do it. This is unbelievable. We'll be talking about that today in our live broadcast. And then there's the tensions in Europe, Putin and Obama, and we're on the brink of a European battle between Russia and NATO. Folks, this world is in a state of chaos. And the Temple Mount may actually break out in violence. Or will it break out into prayer? That's going to take place tomorrow morning at 8:30 Jerusalem time. That's 1:30 a.m. here on the East Coast. Are you saved? Give your life to Jesus Christ. Something biblical is going on here with the signs of the second coming of Christ. Calm down and understand that Jesus is coming. Get things right with God.